Engineering, Mr. Tisdale. Page 18, Department 411.
Good evening, Mark Tisdale, Town Engineer. I've got the budget in front of me. If you want, I'll just go through the changes to whatever lines have changed.
Go ahead.
Other than the normal salary increases, which are based on the grid and union raises, I'll start with the Senior Clerk 2 position. FY17 approved for $48,580. It's going to $54,218 because that position is being reclassified to a Program Administrator 1 position for the same reasons that Mike spoke about previously for his person. For the meeting wages, part-time secretary, that's a part-time position, unbenefited. It's up to 19 hours a week. The primary responsibility is doing meeting minutes for the Conservation Commission, and then also processing submittals and helping the conservation agent out with conservation duties, administrative conservation duties. That position, we've seen about 4 people in that position since I've been here. I've been here for about five years or so. It's a $15 an hour position. It never went up. And we're lucky we have somebody pretty good at that position right now. And I'm proposing to go up $2 an hour from $15 an hour to $17 an hour. Just want to try to keep somebody here. And I think that position deserves a raise after at least 5 years. Nothing else in the salaries for the most part other than the normal raises. The consultant fees, that's a big one for me, for an engineering department in general, I think. It's $10,000 a year we have now. I'm proposing $20,000 a year. You can see in FY16, the actual we used was $19,430. So what we had to do was pull from other line items and try to balance it off. Our department's kind of a resource for a lot of departments, and for example, sometimes the police department will say, can we make this road one way? Can we put a signal here? And sometimes, these things need to be done by outside consultants like a traffic engineer that we don't have on our staff. So we need to be able to have a line item that we can pull from to hire somebody to do this study. Also, that line typically will get used for, as you know, we have engineers on our staff, and I've always said it always makes sense to have engineers engineering and not necessarily going out and surveying all the time. It's a better bang for your buck. So a lot of times it makes sense to hire a surveyor to go out and survey so that the engineers can be designing and pushing the projects forward. So we would use that money for things like that. So it's going from $10,000 to $20,000. We actually do have a reduction in the line. For our GIS operational expense, now that I've been here as the town engineer for about 3 years now, I'm just realizing that the $20,000 that we've had in there is just a little too much. We can actually get by with about $15,000. That line is typically used just to pay for the maintenance and software fees for our GIS system and getting the upgrades and all that. Other than that, nothing else has changed in the expense line items. And I think our overall budget has gone up about 3% from last year. If you have any questions.
Dr. Camacho.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to go back to where you started with the Senior Clerk 2. Senior Clerk 2, that position was changed?
Correct. So
Is it the same position that was there for the FY17 budget?
right.
Or
So
is this a different person, or?
this is the same person. We're not adding a person. The person is getting reclassified to a Program Administrator 1. So you'll see when we do the proposed for FY18, there's a 0 where the Senior Clerk 2 is, and then you've got the 54,668. I'm sorry, the wrong number. You've got the 54,218 for the Program Administrator 1, and it's bold and highlighted. It says reclassified That's the same person. She's just going from a senior clerk 2 to a program administrator 1 position.
So when we get the job descriptions for senior clerk 2 for engineering and program administrator 1 for engineering, we'll be able to see the difference in the,
It's very clear in that position, yep.
all right. And I guess that's it, so that we'll understand that better. All right, thank you very much.
No problem.
John?
This doesn't have anything to do with you.
I said we weren't going to talk about anything that has anything to do.
Okay, it does. What would be helpful in these budgets is to have the grid lines go straight across. It's for Michael and Jamie, when it's printed out. To actually print the horizontal grid lines for each on an Excel spreadsheet.
Either put the grid lines in or shade every other line so you know where you can read across it a lot easier.
Okay, sorry, John, I wasn't following. What's he mean? Now I know.
I knew what you meant, John.
People do that in the future.
Yeah, I mean, they can be even light, but I don't know, I just noticed my eyes failing and,
Hey, I was reading the wrong salary on my line when I was reading it to you, so I agree with you.
That's why you use a straight edge to read these.
We could do that, yeah.
That's why I use a straight edge.
We have a lot of rules in our department.
Do you have something to say?
No, I'm all set.
Anybody else? Anybody else? Joe, do you have something to say? Christine, none? Anybody on this side? The only thing I will say, Mark, is that I'm working out of town currently with another engineer who hasn't been in Stoughton in probably, he said, close to 15, 17 years. And he had to come in, and when I went to see him on the job I'm working on, he goes, I cannot believe the professionalism and how everything is turned around, the expertise. He said it was like, it's like somebody stuck a needle in there and injected it with like youthful, he says you would never get that help before. It was always, I'm sorry, you have to go find it out for yourself.
Yep.
And if you can't get it in there for something in Stoughton, where are you going to find it? But he was very, very, he was amazed.
It's nice to hear things like that, and I appreciate
And
it.
it come from, an engineer out of town, and the guy's well-known, and I'm telling you, he was very, very satisfied.
Thanks for
with the
letting me know
service.
that. Appreciate it.
So, Christine, go ahead.
I will add as well, I'm on the Glen Echo Open Space Committee, and Mark has done a ton of work for that project, which has saved a lot of money that we would have paid to a consultant. So having the staff in place really does pay off on those other larger projects as well. So thank you, Mark.
Thank you very much. It's very nice to hear words like that. I mean, it's not, as you know, it's not just me. I can't do it without my staff, and one of the people I rely on heavily for designs is Craig Horsfall. He's with us tonight. He's the assistant town engineer. He's a registered professional engineer in Massachusetts. He heads up all the designs and surveys that we do in-house. We really like to do those kind of projects because that really saves the town money, and we don't have to use consultants to do it. So instead of 3 times the rate, you're paying 1/3 that rate to get the same work. So.
well, bring him up and we'll praise him too.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, you guys, Cynthia, you don't have any questions, do you? She's the